So I got invited to Meta headquarters twice, and I want to do a quick video where I would like to share my 3 biggest learnings that help me run more profitable, better ads for my clients, making more money because of these 3 principles, because we can use the fullest potential of the Meta ad platform. And these are really things that you probably wouldn't hear from other gurus, and it's really not something that you see from the outside. It's more so these principles that we apply on a daily basis to actually achieve better results than most other people. And I've split it up in 3 different learnings. We will walk through each of them. I hope afterwards it helps you to actually work more with Meta and not against it, because especially lately I see a lot of brands fighting Meta. They have struggles to get their performance up, and hopefully this is something that helps. That's why I want to share it with my audience, and I've prepared it here for you, and we will walk through these 3 different steps. And after this video I hope to see you crush, and I hope to see that you have your results increased, obviously. So just as a quick roundup or background, right here in the middle you see myself and my rep in the Meta headquarters. It's always great to be there because you get to see things that they're working on in the background. You see things that are coming up, and also it's just you really get the information from the horse's mouth. It doesn't get much closer than that. And these are really, really valuable insights, things that you wouldn't hear, things that are nobody can tell you because nobody knows. You get to hear it from these people. And I think that's pretty cool. Of course, there are some things that are under NDA that I can't share, but still there are a lot of things that I would like to share with you, some takeaways that really help me and the team achieve better results. And I would say we hop right in. So what we have right here, the first one, and this is probably something you wouldn't expect, but I need to start with a disclaimer, and also something that helped me prevent very, very expensive mistakes, to be honest. So the first advice is take advice from Meta with a grain of salt, especially when you get to deal with the Meta support reps. They often don't have a clue about what they're talking about, to be honest. There's really no way and no reason to listen to them, because the reason is they get trained on a way that they should get you to spend more money, and they have these best practices, but they actually don't often apply to your business. And this is really on the low level support. And these people often don't even work with Meta, they're outsourced by a company. So they really have no clue, and you shouldn't listen to them. You will, if you ask the same question 5 times a Meta rep, 5 different Meta reps, they will give you 5 different answers probably. Or they will tell you to spend more on the top of funnel, run more traffic campaigns or more add to cart campaigns to make the 50 conversions full. This is just complete nonsense. Don't do that. So that is one thing. But then also the other thing is, as you move up, as you spend more, you will probably get a dedicated account rep, and sometimes they have good ideas, and they're really, really valuable when you get to talk to them about account restrictions or new features or funded experiments and stuff like that. But also there are these really high level rep that are just really bought in with the tech that's coming out, and you as an advertiser always need to verify if it's something that benefits your brand. Just as an example, one of my friends right here, it was Black Friday, his account rep, it's one of the brands that are the top tier D2C brands. They're spending big money on these platforms. And he basically told my friend, hey, why not set up an ASC campaign? You should definitely do that. It will absolutely crush. So these advanced shopping campaigns, they just came out, just gave $200,000 a day on spend there. It will absolutely crush. Now my friend was hesitant, and it was a smaller chunk of the budget, and he put 70,000 on it. And after already throughout the day, he knew it completely flopped. That would have been a really, really expensive mistake. And that's why it's always about validating their ideas on your own. But sometimes you get to be part of these funded experiments where you get some ad credits, you get other perks from it. Sometimes you really have good ideas, to be honest, but it's rare. So be careful with that. That is tip 1. Second tip, creative fatigue. Now this is pretty important. There's a lot of discussions if creative fatigue is real. If you don't know what creative fatigue is, it's essentially when your ads are good in the first place and they work well for a few weeks or a few months, and then they start to die off because they've just been hitting the same people or they can't find new conversions. Now there are people that are saying creative fatigue is not real, it's not non-existent, your ads just don't work anymore. But actually it's a real thing, and you need to be careful of that. And you can also use internal metrics on own metrics to actually determine the level of fatigueness that is actually in the ad, because the more fatigued an ad is, the less efficient it gets. Now, the learning you take away from here is actually you need to do creative differentiation. It's all about diversity in the ad account, and I don't talk about different channels or anything. It's more so about having diverse sets of creatives. You have image creatives, you have UGC creatives, you have video creatives, and these need to be like on brand, they need to be more on the UGC side. Ideally, you have a set of like very, very differentiated creatives, because as we all know, different people respond to different messagings and different kind of styles. So for me personally, I like to see some high quality Leica advert ads, for example. And then there are other people who just like to see like a quick and dirty UGC video, 15 seconds, and they buy. These are like the different people, and different people have different like favorite styles and preferences, and that's why it's important to have a diverse set of creatives to actually combat the creative fatigue. Because creative fatigue is not just on the creative level, it's actually in the entire account. So for you, it's really, really important to understand that the more diversity you can bring into the ad account, the more chances you have of reaching new to brand customers. And this is really important. So when you're, for example, taking a look at the last 30 days and your frequency on the prospecting campaigns is like over 3 or even 4 or 5, then you know you're hitting the same people over and over and over again. And that is not good. You need to introduce new creatives to actually promote the creative differentiation and be able to reach new people with different preferences and everything like that. And that is really important. Now we started to employ like our own creative fatigue metric in our own internal dashboard. But for you, it's really important to measure things like the frequency, the prospecting efficiency overall, the new customer CPAs and ROASs, to actually make sure you bring in more diverse creatives, see that they are performing well on new customers, and then double down, iterate, and do more of that. Ideally, you have a very, very diverse ad account. Now, this is tip 2, and this is really important. Like if you do this, and we have made like studies where we, like internal studies or reportings, I should say, where we take a look at, for example, an ad account and another ad account, and one has a lot of creatives and another one has not so many creatives, and more are like, some are more diverse, the other one is pretty similar. The one that has a really diverse set of creatives and more creatives, they tend to do better. They just have better performance, they have better reach to new people, and that's why I would recommend this if you're struggling with your performance lately, for example. Now the third thing is lean into AI. And this is pretty important, and it's getting more important by the day, to be honest. So what does this mean? There are different kind of ways you can lean into the AI. If you ask Facebook, they probably want to spend your entire money on one ASC and 100+ shopping campaign. And I would advise against that. But what you shouldn't do is like run 20 or 30 different ad sets on like $10 a day. Yeah, these really like popular testing strategies where you test like $10 a day on the ad set, and it just doesn't make sense. Like your ads never get out of the learning phase. It's just not good for your business. What you should do is actually concentrate the most budget you can get on the fewest things possible, because that will allow Facebook to draw more learnings out of it, get more learnings, and gather these optimizations so it can actually optimize properly and deliver you with better performance. So let's just think about it in an example. You have one campaign, or like you have one account where there are 20 campaigns and you have like 50 ad sets underneath, and every ad set is like spending $10, $20 a day, and you get some good purchases, but it's never scalable. That is the issue. It's never scalable. It's not stable at higher scale. You can do that if you spend like a little money, but if you want to scale higher with more stability, then you need to have a more consolidated account where you even do like one product, one campaign, or like one funnel is one campaign, and underneath you have testings and maybe one additional scaling campaign for that one product or that one funnel. And this is something that we usually see works best because you allow Facebook to gather the most learnings and optimize in the best possible way. You know the old saying of like 50 conversions a day? I don't think it always has to be 50 conversions, but you should get the most conversions on the fewest things possible so they can optimize properly. And it makes a huge difference, especially when you scale. The things are just so much more stable when you have things that are active, not like learning limited and everything like that. And the second thing is, I would also recommend you leverage like broad audiences, but on top of that, you sprinkle in some like either big interests or you do some lookalikes. I personally feel that is pretty important. You can run accounts on like just broad, but I see better performance if I sometimes sprinkle in some interest or some lookalike ad sets to actually give the algorithm some guidance or maybe some ideas into new audiences. We often like to do those. I would also recommend, especially if you hit a certain level or you have like multiple channels, try click attribution. So of course you have different attribution settings, and I've talked about this in another video where I talked about why sometimes you spend money on the ads and they have literally like zero impact on your revenue. This is also an attribution issue and the way it optimizes. I would recommend if you hit a certain level on Meta, like let's say you spend over like 5,000 a day, I would recommend you go to a click attribution setup, at least try it. Also definitely run exclusions at any level. And the last thing is obviously focus on creatives. I got back to that in step 2, but it's even more important, so I would like to highlight that again. There's nothing more important than creative. If you can get in more creative, that will help you to increase your chances of finding a winning one. And every now and then you will have this one banger creative that can literally transform your business. Like I had this over the last couple of months, I think 4 or 5 times, where we tested like 50-ish, over like 50 creatives, and 2-3 of these 50 creatives, they just absolutely slapped. Like they did insanely well. And then you test like things that are doing well, they are averaging, they're hitting the benchmark, but every now and then you hit one of these banger creatives and they are just like exploding the business for you. They're just scaling like crazy. You can increase the budget day after day after day and it just doesn't get tired, it just scales. And it's super stable. And these are the beautiful things, and you can only reach them if you test a bunch of creatives. And I will leave it at that. I hope these 3 insights were interesting and helpful, and the main gist of it is basically don't like take the advice with a grain of salt, always think of yourself. The main idea is you need always to look out for your own ideal setup. Even if you read things on like Twitter or LinkedIn, find your own ideal setup. We like to challenge it like once a month. We like to introduce some different things just to make sure the ad account is up to date. We challenge it every now and then. It is staying active and dynamic, and we see the best results with that. That's why each and every one of our ad accounts is monitored and managed in like a personalized way, because then we see the best results. The second thing is creative fatigue. Never run into creative fatigue. Get more creative in the ad account, get diverse sets of creatives into the ad account so you can make sure you reach different people with different preferences, so actually make sure that you reach new to brand customers. And the third thing is lean into AI. This is getting more and more important. The media buying is still important in my opinion, because I always like to say the difference between a good and a great media buyer is the opportunity cost. But after all, it's really important to lean into the AI, focus the most budget you can get on the fewest things possible, focus on creatives, focus on a solid ad account structure, and maybe sprinkle in some like interest, like big interests or big lookalikes to give some guidance along with it or refresh the account again a bit. And I think if you do these things properly, you will succeed. Like our accounts are doing really, really well across the board, and we like to do these things, and we remind ourselves, I remind my team every week of things like that, so we keep in mind having like a focus on these points, and then you're really set up for success. And I hope to see you scale. And if you have any like questions on anything of this, because I know some topics are abstract, then you can just drop them down below in the comments and I will get back. And apart from that, I would just say thanks so much for watching. If you have any other ideas for future videos or suggestions or questions about anything Facebook ad related, let me know down below in the comments. And I would say that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one and happy scaling.